Chris,
Are
isn't
you
it?
Bob the Builder?
Is it Chris?
Are you Bob the Builder?
I am Bob the Builder. Are you Chris?
Is your name? No, it's not.
All right. Sorry,
is your name
is
really
it?
Bob?
Yeah, my name for here is Bob. Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you have a different name for her?
Oh,
You're
just because.
embarrassed about it?
No, it's just because Salafists go around harassing people here. That's why.
Steve's my name, and I'm quite open about it.
How are you doing, Steve?
Very well.
Are you having a good
Don't
day?
be shy about using your name.
No.
Bob the Builder makes you sound like a child.
Bob the Builder's a great name, don't you think? Anyway.
I think Fireman Sam
Anyway,
would have been better.
Whilst, I mean, Uncle Jamal, I'm sure you've met Uncle Jamal.
The charming Egyptian guy.
The charming Egyptian guy.
Really intellectual.
He came round to mock. Now, I'm willing to engage you in a discussion, but if you want to mock, I'm just going to walk away.
Lots of cameras, aren't there?
There are. Are you here? I don't mind the cameras. Are we here to have an intellectual discussion, or do you just want to mock and make fun?
I like doing both, if I'm completely honest.
That's fine, but I'm going to stop if you want to mock.
Can we do it together?
It depends.
Mock and intellectually.
It depends, because you have me at a disadvantage.
Depends whether you have.
No, he has me at a disadvantage, because if he mocks my faith, no one will arrest him for a hate crime.
Should they? Should they?
Well, this is.
Should they?
I don't believe they should.
Neither do I.
I don't believe. So we believe in freedom of speech, right?
If you were Muslim, I think I could do this but not be arrested. But that's what your implication was.
I think. No. I'm just saying that you have me at a disadvantage. That you're going to find it easier to mock me than I'm going to have to mock you.
Why?
Because you're going to make fun of my religion, and I'm not going to be able to make fun of your philosophy.
Why not?
Because your philosophy is protected by the state.
How?
Because anyone who questions your philosophy is arrested.
Well, how? What is my philosophy, firstly?
Well, your philosophy is this idea that multiculturalism can't be questioned, that we have to tolerate everything.
You've never met me before.
No, I haven't really. No, I'm taking a wild guess.
You're wrong.
All right, then, correct me then.
Your guess was wrong.
All right. So where are you coming from?
I question multiculturalism.
So where are you coming from then? Philosophically.
Ealing. Atheism.
Atheism. Oh, okay. So that's never been a winning argument. Why do that? Why do that? Just going up.
All this being
up.
arrested for saying. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, we have examples where Christians who have stood against the norms of our society have been punished by the state.
Can you give me some examples?
So, for example,
You're not going to say British Airways and crosses, are you?
Well, that would be one example.
You're not going to use that as an example.
That would be one example.
Funded by an evangelical Christian alliance.
And what's wrong with that?
Because they've got very ulterior motives.
A very ulterior motive.
It's part of their propaganda.
Is it part of a conspiracy plan?
Part of their propaganda.
Is it part of a conspiracy plan? Yeah. Those nasty Christians.
Because you know all those employment
where we're going to take over
all
everything.
those employment tribunal cases that outfit funded were ripped to shreds.
Well, they were ripped to shreds because we
have
a judiciary.
No, they were baseless in law.
It's because we have a judiciary that has been taken over by liberal progressives who are seeking to push a liberal progressive agenda on society.
In every one of those tribunal cases, they pointed out, the employers pointed out, there was consistent practices and rules against certain things.
That's incorrect.
Whether they were Muslim, whether they were
incorrect.
Buddhist or anything
else.
That
was totally incorrect. Christians have a custom of wearing a cross, and we've had it for 2,000 years.
It's not an inherent part of your faith.
The Sikhs.
It's not an inherent part.
It's an
you
inherent.
Cannot compare it to Sikhs wearing turbans.
Sorry, a protected.
Sikhs wearing turbans.
Are we just going to talk over one another?
No, because you're basically.
Are we just going to talk over one?
Only if you're coming up with things that are factually incorrect.
Are you just going to talk? Are we just going to talk over one
another? Only if you come up with
so
you can't compare crucifixes with Sikhs.
A protected identity it includes cultural practices. It includes
who decides what those cultural
Exactly.
practices are?
Who decides? The judges are deciding. And the judges have decided, contrary to 2,000 years of Christian practice, that Christians don't wear crosses as a part of our faith. We do.
Not in the same way that Sikhs wear turbans. Not in the way that Jews wear skull caps. They're not comparable.
No, I think they are comparable. They're not in the sense, because what it shows is you're showing a misunderstanding of the Christian faith.
British Airways was applying a rule consistently to all employees.
It was not applying a rule consistently to all employees.
How?
Because the wearing of the hijab is not a consistent practice amongst Muslims, but Muslims were allowed to wear the hijab. Christians, it is not a consistent practice, but it is a common practice to wear the cross. But yet British Airways said that it was okay to wear the hijab, but it was wrong to wear the cross. That's a double standard. It was not being applied consistently. Here's another double standard.
Okay, let's give another example.
Thank you.
Nurses praying.
One to me. Next one.
Nurses praying.
He wants to move on to a different one.
Nurses praying to patients in hospital.
Nurses praying to
patients.
Is
that acceptable?
So, yes,
when they've been warned against it already.
Absolutely, it's acceptable. Let me explain why.
It's acceptable for nurses to pray to patients.
Let me explain why. Firstly, the nurse in question didn't impose it upon the patient. She offered to pray. and the patient accepted. And then
what
the
had her
patient
managers
complained.
said to her ages before
Now,
that moment?
one second.
Said to her,
Are you saying
she was actually on a warning already?
Are you saying that the process of healing is purely physical?
Well, that's another subject. Of course it is. Yeah.
You're saying that
we're meandering off of your claim that there's practices that are persecuting Christians against other religions.
I am saying to you, no, it's discrimination. Let's not compare it to persecution. Persecution is what ISIS is doing to Christians in Iraq. That's persecution.
Agreed.
This is just discrimination. It's a nuisance. So, this woman, this sister in faith, a consenting adult, accepted prayer and then complained.
Well, that's debatable.
That's what happened. She was a consenting adult. So what happened was that
if you're ill in hospital, are you in a position to give that consent? Are you in a sound, strong position to give that consent?
That depends on your condition.
You're lying ill in hospital.
It depends on your condition. I don't know. Do you?
No, I don't.
So neither of us can say whether she was in a position to. But I accept that not every patient is in a position to. However, assuming that she was a consenting adult with compos mentis, then that means that she had every right to ask for prayer, and she did.
She asked for it. She went out of her way to ask it before it was offered.
It was, well, as I understand, it was offered and it was accepted. You can't then...
It wasn't asked for, so what you just said, it wasn't requested.
To my knowledge, it was offered and accepted. If you accept an offer,
ask for it first.
you're getting away from the consent.
Said something.
It's consent. You can try to catch me up on words if you want to. But if you consent to something, one second. If you consent to something, say someone wants to have sex with you, and then you consent. Can you then claim that the person raped you afterwards?
This isn't going to happen. I could consent.
Can you say that someone raped you
to
afterwards?
you having sex with me at my desk at work.
Right.
My employer is still within their rights to sack me for doing that, whether you've consented to it or not. So the point about employment is following the reasonable instructions and rules of your employer, not whether the recipient of whatever you did gave consent or not.
Yep.
It was breaching the rules that had been clearly detailed to this member of staff, and she was already under a warning for doing it. So the scenario could not be clearer to her. So the issue of consent is not a relevant issue at this point. Well, she was breaking the rules as clearly set out to her by her employer.
Now,
that is the employment arrangement.
And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that kind of arrangement. I have a problem with the fact that our hospitals,
left her job and
our hospitals,
a faith hospital,
our hospitals,
our hospitals are secular environment.
Our hospitals,
environment.
A secular healing environment. Healing involves the soul. If someone consents to prayer and their compos mentis,
hospitals would not be full.
Have a right to be prayed for.
Sorry, hospitals would not be full.
What you're saying is the patient had no right to consent. What you're saying is that the patient had no right to consent. She was in the hospital.
Then she should have gone to church.
So what you're saying is the patient...
If she wanted her soul healing.
Did the patient have the right to consent? Did the patient have the right to consent? No, why are you defining where someone can and cannot consent?
Because I'm okay with the management of that hospital setting their rules, because there would be chaos in the workplace if employers were not allowed to set the rules.
Setting rules, yes, but setting rules in an unfair way is an issue that I have a problem with.
So you're the judge of fairness in the workplace?
What I'm saying is that you're making yourself the judge of fairness.
So you're above the tribunal chair, the tribunal panel, you're above
that tribunal made a bad decision. A bad decision. A woman consented to prayer. It's not for you to tell her when she cannot or cannot consent.
In the workplace.
Did you just say that? Did I honestly just hear that?
Ridiculous examples of why consent are not relevant.
You just said a dog can consent. Is this the kind of logic that I'm dealing with?
I was giving you a ridiculous example.
A dog cannot consent, my friend. This is the most preposterous logic, as preposterous as you.
Get a close-up. Get a close-up. This is my hand.
Anyway, let's do another example. Let's do another example.
Preposterous religious claims in the
Let's do another example. Okay, what about... You've given two examples. You've given two examples. Those were your examples, not mine. Those were your examples, not mine.
They're ridiculous examples
You
that
brought
lost in
them
the
up,
tribunal
not me.
and were funded
Why
by
are
the
you
Christian
saying that
Alliance,
I brought up things
an
that you brought
evangelical, fundamentalist Christian
Now let me
outfit
give you an
that is trying to
example.
make a political point,
There was a woman
and it fails
recently,
in the tribunal
There was a woman
time
recently
and time again.
who recorded a doctor agreeing to abortion based upon gender. and she tried to launch a private prosecution against those doctors
Well,
because
she should
gender
have used the
abortion,
Whistleblowing Act.
gender
She should have used the
abortion
Public
is
Disclosure
illegal
Act
in this
if she thought
country.
she had a point.
The
But she
Crown
didn't, did she?
prosecution took over her case, derailed the case, and then put the costs of the case onto the woman
that got to do with
that they
Christianity?
had taken
got to do with
over.
Christianity?
So you tell me
What's that got to do with
she was
Christianity?
motivated by her faith. So you tell me,
Well, anything
was
might
it
be
right?
motivated by faith.
Was it right for the
That's
Crown
not the
prosecution?
subject of
Answer my,
Christianity.
I've answered your
It's
question.
not the subject of Christianity.
I've
You're
answered
going
your
off with a
question.
red herring, an
Answer
irrelevant
mine.
red herring.
I've answered your
It's an
question.
irrelevant red herring.
Answer
We're
mine.
talking about
I'm
Christians
going to ask you one
claiming
more.
discrimination in
I'm
the
going to ask you
workplace.
once,
That is-
please.
That is not relevant.
Was it right for the Crown
It's not relevant
prosecution
what
to
we're
take
talking
over the
about.
case?
It's not relevant.
I've asked you once. Was it
Come
right
on,
for the
close
Crown
up, it's not relevant.
prosecution
Come
to
on,
take over
closer.
the case?
Closer. Try come
It doesn't
closer.
want to.
It's not relevant.
The secularist humanist wants to ask questions.
I'm not a humanist.
But he doesn't
What are
want
you
to
talking-
take
I'm not
over
a
them.
humanist.
The
When
secularist.
did I say I was a humanist?
Okay, we'll just call you
I
secularist.
didn't actually say I was a secularist.
So
I
I'm
said I was
guessing
an
that you are
atheist.
a secular atheist. The secular
Atheist.
atheist.
Well, is there any other
wants
type
to
of
ask
atheist
questions.
other than secular?
He wants to ask questions, but he doesn't want to answer them. So I'll ask you
I'm a
again.
Bournemouthist.
Was.
I'm
Was.
an AFC Bournemouthist.
Was. Okay, we're just getting into mucking now, not having intelligent
Well, if you have
conversation.
preposterous views,
So I'm
what do you
asking you, I'll ask you again. Was it right for the Crown prosecution to take over that case?
I don't know the details of the case.
You
couldn't
don't
comment.
know the details.
I do
of
know
the
the
case.
details of
I've
these
just
other
told you
cases.
the case.
What,
just told you the
in
case.
5 seconds? Is that all it took in court? 5 seconds?
No, I
think
didn't.
They probably analysed a bit more evidence.
So what you're saying is you don't want to answer that question. Is it
I
possible?
don't know anything about it.
Do you agree with gender-based abortion? Do you agree with aborting babies because they're girls?
Do I agree with ancient scripture that are inherently misogynistic?
Did you notice
and
it didn't answer the
patriarchal
question?
And sexist? No, I
Did
don't.
you notice it?
The
Thank
cameraman
you.
was the only person
So,
that shouted yes.
I'll
Can I just point
you a
that
question.
out? So I think they're kind of together.
To be clear, you don't agree with gender-based abortion. Do you or don't you?
No.
No.
if you
So
really
was
must
the
have an
doctor who incidentally was acting illegally? It is illegal in this country.
What's this got to do with Christian
Do you believe that they
discrimination?
should have been prosecuted?
I don't know the detail.
I've just told you the details. A doctor agreed to a
Taking your
gender-based
word-
abortion.
Taking your word for it, that doesn't sound right. No.
So do you
Taking
agree
your
that the
word
doctor
for what
should
you
have been prosecuted?
Taking your word for how you've
Answer
recounted
the question. Should the doctor
As
have
you've
been
detailed
prosecuted?
it, yes. As you've
Thank you.
detailed it. But
So
I would
was
need
the
a lot more
Crown
evidence.
prosecution acting on behalf
Do
of
the
the state?
CPS always get it right?
No.
My goodness, they
They
do
don't.
not.
Thank you.
They do not.
So why
Why?
then did they take over this case? It's because
every case goes to the CPS. It is the CPS who decides whether every case, whatever it's on, in terms of criminal law, it is the CPS that makes that decision for everything.
yes, but they didn't.
So what do
have
you mean? Why did the CPS
No.
do it? That's their
no,
job.
hold on, 1 second.
That's
You
what they're there
don't
for.
understand the CPS. The
Yes,
CPS,
they do.
the CPS,
The police get the
the
evidence.
CPS,
The CPS makes
did
the
not
decision
have to
whether
take
they
over
charge.
the case and then crash it and then hand the
You
bill
don't know
to
about
the
the
woman.
basic process.
They made a
The
choice.
police gather the
Now,
evidence. The CPS
why
make
did they
the
do it?
decision.
It's because our liberal, progressive elite, the people who deem themselves to be superior to all of us and think that they have the right to tell us what to think, what to say, and how to feel
Authority.
about
Down
every
with
topic
authority.
connected to
Except for the one in the
identity
sky, Harry.
and morals.
Down with all authority except
Those
for the one in the
elites
sky.
decided that they want to push an agenda that is pro-abortion and pro exactly what I talked about in my earlier talk
legal.
about
Abortion
the
is
ego,
legal.
the
Get used to
pride
it.
of the inner man being able to do whatever they want because they feel like
Abortion is legal
it.
in this
Abortion is
country.
legal.
Get used to
It's
it.
also immoral. In Nazi Germany, killing Jews was legal, but it was immoral.
that's a good
Laws
comparator to
don't
make there, isn't it?
make morality.
Hitler in gas chambers, abortion. Yeah,
That's
good-
exactly
good-
the
good
same. You're
comparator.
killing people. Tell me,
People.
was it
What
legal?
about sperm?
Was
Is
it
every sperm
legal
sacred?
in apartheid
Is every
America
sperm sacred?
to separate blacks
What
and
about
whites?
every egg? Is every egg
Answer the
sacred?
question.
Answer
Was
my
it
question.
legal?
Is every sperm?
Was it legal in
Does every
America?
sperm matter?
You made an
Answer
equivalence.
my question.
I will in a
Does
second.
No, answer it now. Does every sperm matter?
No, it's a sperm.
Not every sperm matters.
No, but every
But every sperm egg zygote does matter.
every conception matters. eggs on their own
What
don't
about all
matter.
those millions that
No,
God
I've answered
God
one of your
aborts?
questions.
What about the millions
I've
of
answered
fertilized
one
zygotes
of your
that
questions.
your God aborts?
I've answered
'Cause
one
you
of
do
your
realise
questions.
most fertilized
Now I'm
eggs
going to ask you a
do
question.
not survive.
Now I'm
your
going to ask
God
you a question.
is the biggest abortionist
Okay,
going.
so can
because
I answer
most
your question?
die in the womb.
So I'll ask
Most
you
do
guys
not
a
go
question.
to
He stopped
success.
listening, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. Okay? This man made an equivalence between law and morality. He said that abortion was justified because it was legal. Was it moral? I'm asking
I'll give you one. Fox
Was
hunting.
it moral?
Bring up fox hunting.
Was
That's
it
another
moral?
good one.
No. Thank you.
Bring up fox hunting.
Nazi
Was that
Germany legalized the murder of Jews. Was it
moral?
moral?
Husbands raping wives. Go, use that one as well.
So, clearly,
I'll
just
give you-
because
I'll give you
something
your
is
product.
legal doesn't mean that it's moral. So I say to you again, abortion
I say unto
is
you. Isn't that how you
immoral.
put it?
Abortion is immoral. How can you say to me, if we found a microbe on Mars, would it be life?
So's infecting children's minds with this
I'm
nonsense.
asking you a question.
Immoral.
Answer the question.
Faith-based education
If
is immoral.
we found a
Polluting
microbe
children's minds
on Mars,
with this mythological,
would it be
barbaric nonsense is immoral.
The logic of this
Highly
man is
immoral.
this.
Young
He
children
says
being infected
that if
with
we
this
find
nonsense
a microbe
is
on Mars,
highly immoral.
we found life
Highly
on Mars.
immoral.
But
Education
if we
is for
find
education,
a conceived
not
egg
indoctrination.
in a woman's
That's
womb,
immorality.
it's not life.
It's not life.
This
not
is
as we know
kind
it.
of the illogic that we're dealing with from the pro-abortionist. This is the kind of illogic that we're dealing with from the atheist. They have no logic because their highest authority
Atheists
is
have
simply
no logic.
their
And we have
own
no morals
opinion.
either. I'll share
I didn't
that with
say
you
that.
as well.
No,
No
I
logic,
didn't say that.
no morals.
You
'cause we're
said that.
barbarian monkeys.
You hung yourself on your own words, not mine. I never said that.
I
to
know
you.
what nonsense
I
you come
just
out
said
with.
you had no logic.
But morals?
All I
Can
said you had
atheists
your
have
no
morals?
logic.
Can atheists have morals?
Do you believe that nothing comes from
No,
nothing
answer
or
the
something?
question.
If I have nothing,
can atheists have morality?
Can I get something from nothing?
Can atheists have morals?
I'm asking you a question. Yes, atheists can have morals. Absolutely they can. And they can have often the wrong morals. But not always. But not always.
Because
Classical
because
liberals-
morals are black and white.
I
aren't
know
they?
many classical
morals
liberals-
are objective and black and white. aren't
Classical liberals,
they? Why are you performing for the camera?
because you're not talking to me, you're
The
just
only
talking
reason
over
you're
me.
there. Well, I was looking there until you
So,
started looking
if
there.
you want to have a conversation,
And
we
then
can
they're
go back
prettier
into a
than you.
conversation.
She and her are much prettier. than
That
you.
is absolutely right, I totally agree with you. There we go. So, moving on.
As for that.
So, moving on. Let's ask this question. You as an atheist believe...
Should we put me as a human being first?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
And a mammal?
Yeah, we can do mammals.
And a primate?
Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. I got no
Progress.
problem. I got no
Progress.
problem with
I'm a pro-
evolution.
Are you pro-
I got no problem with
Hallelujah.
evolution. I got no problem with the Big Bang.
Hallelujah.
There we go. I think we got a believer. He's 2 steps away from coming over. It says in the Bible, I am the Lord thy creator. I have created all things. By my power alone, I have stretched out the heavens. That is the most poetic description of the Big Bang I ever read.
you
And
don't
I
have a
read it
problem
in the
with the Big
book
Bang either.
of Isaiah. The Big Bang
forward-thinking
was
Christian,
discovered by a Catholic priest. It was a Catholic priest
And we
who
know
came
what
up with the
Catholic
theory.
priests are like. don't we?
We came up now.
Always fiddling around.
Oh
aren't they?
dear.
Always,
Oh dear.
You're a Catholic.
Does he believe in stereotypes? This same kind of liberal would cry
said I was
baby.
liberal?
This same
Who
kind
said
of
I was
liberal
liberal?
would cry baby if I
You're very quick
stereotyped
to
him.
judge people, aren't you?
You know, when I noticed when I said the word atheist, he said, oh, don't use that word, call me a human first. But now he does stereotypes all Roman Catholic priests. This is the morality of the atheist. He sets up one standard for himself and then lives by another. So,
The Catholic priest of the Big Bang.
so the Catholic priest, it was a Catholic priest who discovered the Big Bang. It was a Catholic
Was it
priest
with a little
who
child?
proposed it. It was, this is the logic of them. No argument, just mockery. No evidence, just
Well, you want
foolery.
evidence for Catholic priests
So-
fiddling with kids? You want
So
me,
do
you
school
want me to
teachers.
give you evidence?
Shall we
do
now
you?
condemn all school teachers because some school teachers
in
abuse
faith
children?
schools mainly?
In school, some school teachers.
Do you know the
some
number of
school
people
teachers.
I know that went through
Brother.
Catholic education with
Brother.
nuns and priests
Brother,
behaving
brother,
disgustingly.
you're dealing in stereotypes. It's like me saying that
Unlike God.
because some
Unlike
black
God, who
youth
wants to
use
burn the
knives,
non-believers.
that all black
God
youth
doesn't believe in
use knives.
stereotypes, does
That
he?
is the stereotype.
He's going to burn me forever.
You're
simply for not
generalizing,
believing
and
him.
everyone can see
Just like your
you're
God.
generalizing.
Just like your
and the
God.
reason why you're generalizing
Just like your
is
God.
because you're losing the argument, and because you
So
can't
your God
win on
isn't
argument,
generalising in the
you're using
Caribbean
mockery.
today, is he?
So
Your God isn't
now,
generalising in Florida
let's
today,
talk
is
about
he?
the Catholic priest
As he murders
who
people with all
discovered
these hurricanes.
the Big Bang. Christians have contributed to science, something that atheists like this brother does not want to accept. It was Galileo Galilei, a Catholic, who argued for the heliocentric
Cameraman's
universe.
just waving at this point.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Can your
It
cackle
wasn't
be
an
picked up
atheist.
by that? I know it's
The
pointing this way.
Christians of the past were encouraged to
Cameraman's supposed to be
investigate the
silent.
nature around them,
Aren't you?
precisely because of their faith. They were inspired to investigate nature because they saw it as a route to
Utter
understand the
nonsense.
mind of
Utter
God.
nonsense.
This man doesn't know history. They were called natural
Do you know
philosophers.
how Darwin had to handle his message when he discovered what
Let's
he
talk-
discovered?
yeah, we can talk
Do you know
about Darwin.
How Darwin had to handle himself in the culture and in the time at that
Let's
time.
talk about Darwin
Galileo!
and his argument of evolution. Christians at the time accepted, many Christians at the time
Some.
accepted
Some.
the theory of evolution.
Some.
So it wasn't this case,
Some.
as he would present, that it was all Christians against science. That's the stereotype and the characterization
just talk to them here.
that the
Just talk
atheists
to them here and
want
they'll
to
do it.
proselytize.
You're
and the
unusual.
reason why they want to proselytize is because they want to characterize Christians
As dumb.
as simply
Dumb.
knuckle dragging, anti-science idiots.
You might be the
He
exception, but most of
deals
them
in
here are like that.
stereotypes. He deals
Talk
in
to them.
stereotypes,
Talk to them.
even
That's
when
fine,
he's
sir.
talking to a Christian
Talk to
who
that
has
one on the
no
ladder
problem
over
with
there.
science.
He doesn't believe in
So,
evolution. He's
let me
knuckle
ask you
dragging.
this question. Let me ask you this question.
You're up performing.
So, can you get something from nothing?
I'm not a physicist. I couldn't answer that.
Well, I studied physics at university
Well, I
my
studied
first
biology.
year. I
Get
can
that.
tell you, you do not get something from
Did
nothing.
your professors
So,
think that? Did your professors
so,
think that?
yeah, yes, they did.
All of it.
To my knowledge. I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but to my knowledge, yes, they did. My professors taught the Big Bang.
They're doggy poo.
So, you notice he
That
wants.
bag got
do you know?
doggy poo in.
Do you know what? Do you notice now? He's even having a go at the cameraman. He doesn't want to talk about the
It's a
subject.
little blue bag
Okay,
dangling
brother.
from the-
This conversation we've ended. Have a good day.
It was a
Take
doggy
care.
poo that ended
Take
it.
care. And what I would suggest to you, brother, is go
It's
and look.
nice to find a
investigate-
Bible-bashing Christian that doesn't have a problem with
Investigate.
evolution.
I have no problem with
That's
science.
Good. That's good.
Investigate the
Well, spread
church's
that.
con.
Spread that
I
to
do.
your flock.
I do. I investigate the church's contribution to science. These people are dealing with stereotypes. Yes, brother.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask you, you just said that nothing comes,
Nothing comes. Something comes from nothing.
no, this Big Bang Theory,
Yes.
how did it happen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was nothing.
Well, so, in answer to the question, there is no mechanics that we understand currently that can explain how the Big Bang occurred. We cannot actually see, when we look, we cannot actually see into the moment of the Big Bang, because all information about the universe is communicated through light, and light takes time to travel. And there comes a point where literally we just can't see beyond. So physically, it is impossible for us to see the moment of the Big Bang. We're aware of the Big Bang because as we look at the galaxies moving away from us, they move through a spectrum. They give off what's called red and blue light. They give off radiation, they communicate through a light spectrum, which shows that they're moving. And it shows that they're moving further away. Now, we know logically that something cannot come from nothing. And since the universe is the sum total of everything, then we know that the thing that gave rise to the universe cannot be the universe itself, but something else. Now, the universe is matter, both dark and visible, energy, both measurable and dark, time and space, which means that that something that gave rise to the universe must be something that is outside of time, outside of space, that has an energy power, that has a capacity for energy greater than the sum total of the entire universe, and that is non-material. Now, if something is non-material, historically we call it spiritual. If something is timeless, we call it eternal. If something is greater than all the energy of the universe, it would be right to describe it as all-powerful. And if something, I've kind of lost my own thoughts now, which was the fourth one? I've named three. I've got a bit lost. We've done energy, we've done time, we've done space. Ah yes, if it's outside of space, then it is not positioned in one loci. Now, that's pretty good for a definition of God. Something all-powerful, non-spatial, eternal, and non-material or spiritual. So, I've got, just by looking at science through the prism of logic, very close to the idea of God. So the question then becomes, if there is a God, has that God ever communicated in history? We as Christians believe that God has communicated through prophets, and in these latter days has communicated through his Son, the Word, Jesus Christ, who has authenticated his message through the resurrection. I'm just looking at the time because I am on a time limit. I've got to go in 10 minutes. So I hope that answers your question. I believe that God was the author of the Big Bang.
I understand that there was some power, some energy to create this universe, and that you could classify it as God or whatever, the name Allah or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That created the universe. Now, why there are then God spoke through prophets, different prophets.
Yes.
Why he has to speak different prophets? Another thing, there was one prophet is more than enough to.
One prophet is more than enough. Do you believe in that particular prophet?
Yeah, because that's why we have problems. So many prophets
And which
and so
prophet do
many
you believe in?
religions. Pardon?
Which prophet do you believe in?
I believe I'm a Muslim, so I believe in Muhammad.
Okay. So in answer to the question, why did God speak through prophets? God spoke through prophets to the nation of Israel because he was taking them on a journey. He wanted a people that would be his nation on the earth as a way of declaring that he was the only God. Now, in terms of why we have problems because obviously different religions have different prophets. And I reject Muhammad as a prophet. And the reason why I reject Muhammad as a prophet is because of what I'm about to read to you now. So this is speaking of how we can know who is a true prophet and a false prophet. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises amongst you and gives you a sign or wonder. Now bear in mind, the scripture is not denying that there can be prophets that give signs and wonders or dream dreams. And the sign or wonder comes true, so they can even have miracles. Concerning which he spoke to you, saying, let us go after other gods whom you have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you to find out if you love the Lord your God. You shall follow the Lord, which we know the Hebrew there is Yahweh, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall follow Yahweh your God and fear him, and you shall keep his commandments. Listen to his voice and serve him and cling to him. But a prophet or dreamer of dreams shall be put to death because he has counseled rebellion against Yahweh your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of slavery, to seduce you from the ways in which Yahweh your God commanded you to walk. So you shall purge the evil from among you. Now, in whose name did Muhammad speak?
Yahweh's name.
Bismillah? What does that mean?
I start in the name of Allah.
In the name of Allah. So Muhammad never spoke in the name of Yahweh. Can you show me any hadith or any verse in the Quran where Muhammad spoke in the name of Yahweh?
I don't know. I don't think so.
There isn't one. Now that's fine. But what I'm saying to you, clearly from the teachings of the Old Testament, I as a Christian and the Jews must say Muhammad is a false prophet, because he didn't come in the name of Yahweh, which is the prophet, which is the name that all the gods came in. What name did Moses come in?
Moses. What do you mean?
In whose name did Moses come in? When he went to the people of Israel.
I think it would be Yahweh or something. Some Hebrew name for God.
Where is the Yahweh in the New Testament?
Just so you guys know, I'm just about to read it.
Is it Aramaic? It's not the same.
Just about to read
It
it.
shows the name Yahweh in the New Testament, yes?
I don't need to show you the name Yahweh.
Well, you said every prophet came in the name of Yahweh. So show us where Jesus has actually mentioned Yahweh in the New Testament.
How come modern day
one
Christians
second.
I don't know much.
And by the way, the Yahweh that the Jews believe in, they do not believe that this Yahweh is a Trinity. This is something that the Christians concocted in the 4th century. The Trinitarian.
Unfortunately, I don't have time to debate you on that today.
Oh, of course you don't have time.
No, I don't. I really don't.
That's fine. Next
Because
time.
I have other
next time.
things to do today.
All right, so-
I don't spend.
No, that's
We
fine.
told you 1:30 last week. We told you 1:30 last
You
week.
told me 1:30.
Soco did.
Wait. He said he was going to email me. He never emailed me. Did
So-
you email me?
Anyway.
Did you email me? No, you didn't. There you go. So don't blame me for
No. I haven't got time to debate you on
Anyway,
that today.
shows Yahweh in the New Testament. At least you can do that,
So-
right?
I just want to show you whose name Moses came in.
No. Shows Yahweh in the New Testament. Because if everyone came in the name of Yahweh, at least the name of Yahweh should be mentioned once in the New Testament. Can you show us that, please? That's
So,
in Exodus 3:14.
Then,
if you
yeah.
want.
So
3:15
then
actually.
Moses said to God, "Behold, I am going to the sons
But
of
here you
Israel."
are saying God, not Yahweh. Moses said to God, not
Yeah.
Yahweh. Why Yahweh is not mentioned here?
So it's translated here. So then Moses said to God, "So behold, I am going to the sons of Israel, and I will say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. Now they may say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them?" God said to Moses, "I am who I am." And he said, "Thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, I am has sent me to you." Now I am comes from the Hebrew Yahweh. This brother wanted me to show you where Yahweh, Jesus says Yahweh in the New Testament. So I'm going to show you, and then I've got to go.
Okay.
So in John 8,
Are you trying to say
One
Yahweh
second.
means I am? Is that
no,
what you're saying?
you asked me a question, allow me to answer.
Yeah, but
You asked me a question, allow me to
Yeah,
answer.
but make sure-
You asked me a
I want
question,
to
allow me to
clarify
answer.
something.
You asked me a
Does I am
question,
mean Yahweh?
allow me to answer.
And that is what I
So
want to do.
he said, where does Jesus say this in the New Testament?
no, where does Jesus say
So
Yahweh?
the Jews said
Not
to
I
him,
am.
"You are not yet 50 years old, and you have seen Abraham." Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you, before Abraham was born, I am." Thank you very much.
I am means God.
Anyway, have a lovely day.
Oh, you're gonna
It's
run
really
away?
nice to talk to you.
Anyway,
No.
that's fine.
Do you
that's fine.
notice
Let
the
him go.
little
You
spin?
can go. This
I'm
is-
going to run away.
This is what
he
happens
knows I have to leave at
when
3,
you-
and now he's saying that I'm running
Allow
away.
him to answer the point.
So anyway, I'll let him
We've
do
got
his
5 more minutes
spin
till 3 o'clock.
if you guys want
So
to
maybe you
talk.
can.
So
That's fine.
have a nice day.